Hello, upper school. I'm Mr. G, and we are going to be making some art. Our first project is going to be a landscape. Now, if you've already been to Eagle Hill and you've already been to my art class, you know a lot about landscapes. So this will be practice for you. If you're new to making landscapes, then you are going to, by the end of this video and by the end of this project, draw a really awesome landscape. All right, let's get started. So before you start, you need these supplies. Okay, make sure you have all that stuff. Okay, so let's start. I'm going to use a marker to draw with, a Sharpie fine point. You guys, I would use a pencil so that you can erase. And when you are drawing with your pencil, make sure you're drawing lightly so that you can fix your mistakes. If you draw too hard and try to erase it, you're gonna ruin your paper. All right, so first things first. When you're drawing a landscape, you need a very important line. If you know what that line is, you can say it out loud right now so that everybody knows. All right. Okay, it's the horizon line. So the horizon line is where the sky and the ground meet. So in the middle of your paper, and notice my paper is the long way, okay? This would be portrait and this is landscape. You want it landscape because we're making a landscape, okay? But you all should know that from last year if you were here last year. Okay, so first things first, horizon line. So towards the top of my paper, I'm going to make a line from one side to the other, a horizontal line. And this is gonna be my horizon line. You don't need a ruler for this because horizon lines aren't going to be perfectly straight. They aren't because there's different variations in the height in the ground and what's in the distance. So just have a line going across, and it's actually okay if it's a little bit wavy. On the horizon line, there is a point. It is the vanishing point, and that is the point where everything disappears at. If you are driving in the car, or riding in the car, I should say, and you're looking out on a highway, the cars that are really close to you are going to appear larger, but the cars that are all the way in front of you in the distance, they're going to be really, really tiny. And at some point, the road and all the cars and everything are going to disappear because you can't see forever. That's the vanishing point. And in a artwork, the vanishing point is on the horizon line, and all of your lines are going to be going to that vanishing point. So that's my vanishing point. Then you're going to decide if you want to make a road, a river, a trail, whatever. But you need to make your lines kind of match. So the first thing you're going to do, and I want kind of a curvy, I guess, road. So I'm going to draw from my vanishing point kind of like an S-shaped road, okay? After I do that, I want to make sure that since my road is going off into the distance, I want the other line that I draw from my road to get closer. These two lines are going to get closer and closer until they get to the vanishing point. So I'm going to start my line here. It's going to go up, and then it's going to start getting closer to the other line. And then as it gets to the closer to the vanishing point, it's going to almost touch, and then it's going to almost become like the same line. So it starts out really skinny here, and then you see it's going to get a little bit wider, and then to this point here, okay? These lines spread out. So that's going to give the illusion that the road or the river or the stream or the trail's going far into the distance. After you do that, you can add details like mountains in the background or hills, because usually it's not just flat like that. So I'm going to put some just gentle rolling hills here, or they could be mountains. All right. After you do that, you're going to decide what kind of things you want to add to your picture or where your picture is going to be. Is this a desert? Is it a mountain trail? You need to decide what you want to add for your details. So if this was, say, a trail that was going to the mountains, you'd think about what kind of trees you would add. And the trees I think you would see are probably pine trees. So I'll show you how to do some pine trees. But before we do that, we have to think about how big those trees are going to be. You're basically taking a 2D paper that is flat and drawing a world inside it and giving the illusion that there's space. And you do that with the perspective, the vanishing point, and how you size things. So in the front of the drawing, this would be the foreground of your paper. Then you have your middle ground, and then your background right over here by the horizon line. Trees, houses, whatever you're drawing in the foreground are going to be larger than the trees and other stuff in the middle ground or the background. So let me show you. So I'm just gonna draw some lines. These are gonna be my tree trunks. So these trees are in the foreground. That means they're closer to us. So they're gonna be pretty tall. And then in the middle ground, the trees are gonna be kind of like medium sized. So they're gonna be a tiny bit smaller than the trees that are in the foreground. Then in the background, your trees are gonna be really small because they're further away. So now I'm just going to add the details to my trees because I have it all spaced out, all sized out, and we're gonna go and add our details. And I'm gonna use a thicker marker for that. To make a tree, using this line, you're gonna start at the top of your tree. You're gonna draw a line that goes up, and then kind of spiky lines that come out. And as these lines get closer to the bottom of the tree, the further they're gonna come out. And this takes a little bit of practice. And if you were in art last year, you remember that we did practice this. So just take your time. So it starts out skinny, and then as it gets closer to the bottom, it's gonna get wider, kind of just like we did with our trail or our river right here. And like I said, take your time. All right, what I'm also going to do is I'm gonna add some lines underneath my trees just to show where the ground is and to give some more texture to our picture. I also might want to use my thinner marker to make some more trees in the background. It's easier to get the little details with a thin marker or a really sharp pencil. All right, awesome. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to think about if there's anything else I want to add to my picture. Do I want to just keep it with trees and water, or do I want to add houses? Think about that. So say I want, I don't know, a cabin in the woods, and I want to put it right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with some lines and some shapes. So the easiest way to make a house, or a house shape I should say, is to make a rectangle. So that's gonna be for the main part of our house. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to make the roof. And to do that, I'm just going to make a triangle on top of my rectangle. If you wanted this to be 3D, there is a way to do it, and it's really easy. It just takes a little bit of practice. Watch what I do. So I want my house to come out this way. So I think I'm gonna use actually a thicker marker so you guys can see it. So here is my rectangle, and there's my triangle. To make the top of the roof, the top of my roof has to line up with the top of my paper because my line is going this way. So this is a straight line across, so this is gonna be a straight line too. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfectly straight. You're just trying to line up as best as you can with the top of the paper. Same thing with the bottom of the roof. It's got to line up with the top of the paper, so that's going to go straight across. And then same thing with the bottom. It's going to line up with the bottom or the top, okay? And then the sides of your house have to line up with the sides of your paper. So basically you're lining up the top of your house and the sides of the house with the paper. So the sides of the house go up and down. So you're gonna draw a straight line right here that follows this line. And then for the other part of the roof, we made a triangle shape here. So this line has to mirror or be the same as this slanted line here for that triangle. So it's gonna go down like that. And like I said, it takes practice. If you don't get it right away, no big deal. Then I'll make some windows just by using some rectangles, maybe a door, some windows over here, and maybe a little chimney. All right, if you want to get fancy and add details to your house, you can. So I'm gonna just add some designs in the windows. If you wanted to add texture for the roof or more windows, you could totally do that. I think I'm just gonna keep it simple. Add some stones. Maybe I'll do stones on the sides. And I'm just doing that with circles, just to give the house some texture. Then if you want some lines for like the logs, if it's a log cabin, you can draw some lines. Okay. And then for the roof, you can draw some lines for that too. And then I'll draw some lines here just to show the texture around it. Cool. All right, so we have our trees, we have our cabin, we have our road or river. I think I'm gonna just make it a river. So you could draw the water flowing. So just using lines that kind of follow the first lines that we made for a river. And just gonna go through and just make some different lines. If you want to add rocks to your river, to the river bank, you can do that. Even some in the water. So I'm just gonna go in and add some rocks around it. And they don't have to be circles, they can be more rectangles. So you can go in and do that. And remember, those rocks are gonna look like they're getting smaller. And you're just gonna draw them tiny in the background. Okay, and you can add more trees, whatever you want. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I have a lot of space in my sky. So when I add color, I think I'm just gonna make a sunset. So I'm using markers. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw some lines that kind of follow the mountains, and I'm gonna leave a little bit of white space too for the clouds. Just keep it really simple. So when you're drawing a sunset, usually the lighter colors are on the bottom, and then the darker colors go up towards the top. And I'm just drawing lines. Of course, you could color in your paper all the way if you want. And then I think I'm going to add some purple. Just to kind of see where you want to put your colors. If you want to leave it like just lines, you could do that too. And then for my water, I think I want my water to kind of reflect what's going on in the sky because the water is reflective. Do some purple too. And the windows in the house are also going to reflect the sky, so I'm just going to do orange. Now, if you wanted to, you could just leave the colors just like this and leave everything black and white, like these are more silhouette, like in shadow. Or you could color everything in, but it's totally up to you. But that is how you make a landscape. It's up to you how you color it. I cannot wait to see what you guys come up with, and thank you very much for joining me in making our first landscape of the year, or our first artwork of the year. Okay, have fun and enjoy. I'll see you guys soon.